Welcome back. This video I'm going to be talking about a city or a district where, as far as international locations go, this is somewhere where I do spend a lot of my time because the location, it's kind of a gateway between two continents and it's in pretty close proximity to a lot of major cities in Southeast Asia. It's a place where I become very comfortable on the overnights. I'm very familiar with the area. There is the kitchenette. We have a little kitchenette here in the hotel, so there's a grocery store next door if I need to stock up on anything. There's restaurants or shopping nearby if I ever need to find something. The biggest bonus for this hotel is that there is laundry in the room. So if I ever need to do laundry, which is constantly, I can always go ahead and do it here, because even if it's day one and I wear the clothes or I wash the clothes that I wore over on the flight, I'm still going to go ahead and do it because I don't pack for 2 weeks of flying in my little suitcase. Maybe there'll be a future video and I'll show you what I do pack for. This laundry machine also has the longest completion jingle I have ever heard of any washing machine. You're going to have to stay to the end of the video for that one. But for now, without any further ado, welcome to Incheon. More accurately, this is Songdo City, built off of the coast of Incheon on the Yellow Sea of South Korea. And this is actually all reclaimed land. This is built off of, I think, 1,500 acres of reclaimed land. So this city was literally, actually it wasn't even just built from the ground up, it was built from the ocean up. With that in mind, the designers of the city really had a blank slate, blank canvas and free range to pretty much do whatever they wanted with the city. And like, this is a smart city, and so everything from parking garages to traffic lights to CCTV cameras, the parks even have music playing through them, and really helps help the developers put everything that they wanted into the city. And of course, one of the things that I really appreciate with the city is the amount of parks and places that you can walk through that don't make you feel like you're in a big city, even though you're surrounded by huge sky rises like the PCO Tower behind me. One thing that you're going to hear me say a lot is smart city. And what I mean by that is that Songdo City is kind of like a living organism in that the infrastructure is full of monitors and sensors that control everything from like energy consumption, temperature control, traffic monitoring, and the rubbish disposal system spans the entire complex. So it is pretty a futuristic piece of hardware. In Europe and in the United States, we do have like grid control and traffic for as far as controlling traffic and helping ease the congestion and flow and everything. But for here, it was integrated from the very beginning, whereas a lot of places in Europe and in the US, those kind of things were put in later and to help make those a smart city. So built as a response to the Asian financial crisis of 1997, 1998, they started planning for the city in 2003 with the planned completion in 2025. So theoretically, next year, because this is 2024, this city should be completed in their planning process. The last census that I saw was taken in 2022, which showed just shy of like 200,000 people, and I think they're projecting or they're estimating to be well over 250,000 of residents for the city of Songdo. With the plan for the city starting in the year 2000, it was planned to be the world's first smart city. So you're not going to see a lot of things like parking garages. I mean, all around here, this is a giant park, and parking garages are underneath of it, which is kind of neat. So, it saves up a lot of the space, saves the eyesore of having a parking garage and a lot of traffic going in and out, which is really nice. Now, this city is still being built. There are still people that are coming to it. But when it was first being built, like I said, it started in 2003. Planning started in 2000. But when the first few years when it came out, or the first few years that people started coming to it, it was kind of, they likened it to a Chernobyl type ghost town because, it had all these buildings, it had all these places for people to come to, but didn't have any people yet. So initially it was thought as a $40 billion failed experiment because there just wasn't any people here. But, you know, 20 years later, there is now a lot of people and a lot of traffic, but the lanes out here, you know, they planned for having a lot of people. So the lanes out, traffic lanes out here, the biggest ones I've seen were like 5 lanes on either side, so 10 lanes across. And part of that planning was to possibly have like a sky train or a sky tram that would go through the middle of it. So, I mean, even though that hasn't happened yet, they plan for it as a possibility in the future. So city design. When you're designing a city, typically like an old city, it's a lot of places like in Europe, the cities were built around the, you know, whatever the central government, whether that be a kings or lords or whoever, and then they build out from there. That's why a lot of cities in Europe, you're going to see them more in a circular type pattern. In the States, you know, they're going to be a little bit more rectangular or kind of just to conform to whatever the local landscape is.
When the designers were building this city from scratch again, they knew that they couldn't take cookie cutter entire cities and copy and paste it from one place to the other, but they knew that they could take different features that they liked from different cities. One of those key features is Central Park that goes through a huge portion of the city here. And of course, that Central Park was modeled after Central Park in New York.
Going through Central Park is this big canal, and the canal is supposed to be, you know, a reminiscent of the Venice canals in Italy. All right, I have waited months to do this video because I was waiting for the right time, because where I'm about to walk right now is a giant rose garden, and I know I can't portray what it's like through the camera, but it smells amazing.
Feel like sun on my skin. So this is love. I know it is. I know it sounds super cliche, but you make me feel some type of way. This is falling in love. I got a lot on my mind, got some more on my plate. My baby got me looking forward to the end of the day. What you say? You and me, just forget about the past, throw it in the trash. What you say? You and me, live the life we never had, like we're never going back. Feel like sun on my skin. So this is love. I know it is. I know it sounds super cliche, but you make me feel some type of way. This is falling in love. I know it sounds super cliche, but you make me feel some type of way. This is falling in love.
저쪽에도 냄새 너무 좋더라고.
I think all these people with the umbrellas had a right idea, because it's a little bit more sunny than I was expecting it to be. And I got a little sunburn when I was in LA, so I feel like that's it's gonna come back and get me here pretty soon. Also, I need to watch out for these umbrellas, because I'm a little bit taller than people are out here, so all these umbrellas are like right at eye height, so good thing I got some eye protection. So one thing that you don't see too much of when you're walking around this city is garbage cans. which is kind of, I mean, you know, kind of nice, but it's also, if you have like a piece of trash or something, like a water bottle, a candy wrapper or whatever, then you're gonna have to find somewhere to get rid of it, because it is a smart city. And so being a smart city, like I said, they were design things literally from the ground up, or from the ocean up. And what that affords the designers to do is there are pneumatic chutes throughout the city, you know, to all these buildings, all the businesses and whatnot, that will take the garbage, you know, they put it in a, wherever it is they put it, and the pneumatic chutes shoot it out of the city. And so to some, you know, central garbage area, dump, I guess, which is kind of nice, because you're not going to have your streets crowded up with, you know, smelly garbage trucks and things like that. Being a smart city, it is heavily monitored through like CCTV cameras. So it's kind of nice because like the traffic lights out here, you're not going to have, I mean, you can't help it sometimes, but you're not going to have too much buildup of traffic, because if they see that there's a congestion somewhere, they'll just, you know, change the lights and open up lanes somewhere else. But another thing that you're going to have is a lot of CCTV cameras like that one. And look, there's another one. Oh, look, there's another one. 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 So as I mentioned before, this city was built in response to the Asian financial crisis of 1997, 1998, as a means to open up South Korea and to be a big player in international trade when it comes to Eastern Asia. And this city, it is very easy for me, an English speaker, to get around, because a lot of people here speak English. I mean, I can't say that for all parts of Asia or all parts of South Korea, but even the places that I've been to outside of this city, it's been pretty easy because they are really big on learning how to speak English out here. They speak a lot better English than I do Korean. I can say hello and thank you, that's about it. But so being an international city, it does cater pretty well to people that are traveling internationally, especially the business travelers, which is kind of what the city is set out for. And so like if I go to the grocery store or if I go to a restaurant, there's 9 times out of 10, there's an English menu there. When I am going to the grocery store, there's an option to select English on the self-checkout, so I can use self-checkout a lot. I use my credit card because internationally I don't really like to use my debit card. I don't even carry it with me when I go walk it around, just as a means to protect myself. But they take, you know, my credit card, no problem. Because this was more of an experimental city, they were able to test out a lot of different features. And a lot of those features that were successful, they have exported those to different countries. And I know like the traffic monitoring and CCTV camera type things was exported to different countries that have bigger congestion and traffic problems. And building a city from scratch and hoping and expecting people to come might seem kind of like a crazy idea, but it is actually really popular in Asia. A lot of cities in China are like that, and we actually do something similar in the United States. We just call them housing developments, where, you know, you kind of build a whole bunch of houses in one place and people eventually flock to it. So although this is a young city, you're not going to see too many old buildings. And actually the old buildings like this one right here are, you know, this city was started building in 2000 and 2003. So old isn't really an accurate term. It's more a representative of an old building. There's one back here behind me. But I wanted to talk about this park because this park right here, this courtyard area, has the 12 animals of the Zodiac sign. Now, the 12 animals of the Zodiac sign are the rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig. And those animals, if you don't know, this based off of the lunar calendar. Now, a lot of people say Chinese New Year. Well, that's not quite an accurate term because more people than just the Chinese use the Zodiac calendar. The Chinese, Tibetan calendar, Buddhist, Hindu, Southeast, Eastern Asian, Islamic, Jewish, and the Middle East all use, some of them use a type of a lunar calendar, different than the Gregorian calendar like we do in the United States. So, interesting fact, like for me, I was born in the year of the dragon, that guy right there. And the year of the dragon, if you look at it, it says, you know, they skip every 12 years. So actually this year right now is also the year of the dragon, the year of the wooden dragon specifically. So, but to say that for me, I was born in January of 1989. If you look at these plaques down here, you'll see that actually the snake is labeled 1989, but that's not accurate because the lunar calendar, the new year, because a lot of people, you'll notice that the lunar, or the people celebrate the lunar calendar or Chinese New Year in like February or sometimes January. Well, the reason being is that the lunar calendar's new year is based off of the second new moon after the winter solstice being December 21st. So second new moon after the winter solstice is when the lunar new year happens. So again, to say you're celebrating Chinese New Year, even though it's kind of a blanket term, not entirely accurate. But the dragon, according to the Lunar New Year, covers the year of 1988. But I was born in 1989. To figure how does that happen? Well, remember, there's that little gap between the January 1st Gregorian or the solar New Year and February, whenever the second new moon is for the Lunar New Year. So I was technically born in the lunar year of 1988, which makes me a dragon. Now, the only reason I bring that up is because a lot of people will say, oh, we're celebrating the Chinese New Year, which is fine, totally fine. Not entirely accurate unless you're Chinese or you're specifically celebrating the Chinese New Year, because all these different cultures have their different lunar New Years. So if you want to cover your bases and maybe get a little bit more blanket statement accurate term, you should say Lunar New Year, because like here in Korea, it's called Solal. And last but not least, I cannot walk through Songdo City without talking about this building right here. So this is the Northeast Asia Trade Tower, or when it was being built. Now it's called the PCO Tower. They broke ground for it in 2007 with completing it in 2011. At the time, it was the tallest building in South Korea. It was standing at 1,001 feet tall. From floor 36 on up is the hotel. And that's where we stay. Right now I'm staying on the 53rd floor, so I do have a pretty nice view of this park and a little bit of the Central Park. When it was built, I believe it was the tallest building in South Korea. Now I believe it ranks in 4th place. So this area behind me, I actually came here with a buddy of mine, and we're like, man, there's so many things up in these different layers. And like, what's in them? So we just picked a building, got on one of the elevators, and hit each floor until we found out what was inside of them. And every floor was something that was like totally different. We eventually found like a billiards bar, like a pool hall, and we stayed there and had a couple games. Also somewhere in here is like underground, there's an indoor driving range kind of thing, like a virtual reality type driving range where, you know, you hit the ball and it shows you on the screen or how bad that you are, because I'm really bad, as we saw in an earlier video. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to offer out here as long as you're willing to get out and explore and see what they have.
Well, I think that's about going to do it as far as my brief little intro to Incheon and Songdo City. As usual, if you like what you see, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If there's anything that you want to see in future videos, please feel free to leave that in the comment section down below, and I will get around to it. For now, I'm going to go ahead and head downstairs and meet up with the crew. We're going to go out and find some dinner, and hopefully we'll get a good night's sleep tonight because we leave tomorrow morning for another long day. So as always, my name is Ryan. Thanks for flying.
Stand clear of the closing doors.
Stuff on, yeah. I'm just making sure that he's not like dying for the sausage there.